Walk into your local cinema on a Tuesday afternoon and you're met with an eerie sight. A lobby the size of an aircraft hangar, glowing digital posters, the smell of fresh popcorn. But absolutely nobody else is in there. It feels like a ghost town, a relic of a business that arguably should have faded away when Netflix began streaming movies in 4K. Yet, if you look past the empty corridors and the lone teenagers staffing the ticket counter, you're actually standing in the middle of a vicious, high-stakes financial war zone. Billions of pounds are currently moving through these quiet lobbies, fueling a cage match between three massive corporations: Odeon, Vue, and Cineworld. These three giants are ripping each other apart to see who can survive to the end of the decade. These companies have leveraged billions in debt, bought out international rivals, and turned the simple act of watching a movie into a luxury arms race. The reality of the UK cinema business is wilder than the blockbusters on the screen. While you might think you're just buying a ticket to see Dune, you're actually funding one side of a brutal corporate war. To understand the violence of this market, you have to meet the combatants. First, there's Odeon, a brand so deeply embedded in British cities that it feels like part of the furniture. Founded in the 1930s by Oscar Deutsche, Odeon spent decades as the sleepy grandfather of the industry, holding the best locations and the biggest signs, but offering tired, uncomfortable seats. That sleepy heritage brand got a massive shot of adrenaline in 2016 when AMC Theatres, the largest cinema chain on earth, acquired them. Almost overnight, Odeon transformed into the European outpost of a global empire with deep pockets and a newfound obsession with luxury. Sitting between them is Vue. Founded by Canadian-born Tim Richards, Vue has never cared much for nostalgia, preferring to focus entirely on technical specifications. They're the operators who will lecture you about Sony 4K projection and Dolby Atmos sound until your eyes glaze over. Positioning themselves as the premium efficient option, they bought up modern multiplexes in shopping centers and installed stadium seating before anyone else, focusing purely on the techie aspects of the experience. Finally, there's Cineworld. Under the leadership of Mookie Greidinger, this company had ambitions that went far beyond just being a big cinema chain. They pioneered the unlimited card, turning casual moviegoers into monthly subscribers and building a cult following of loyal fans who treated their local cinema like a second home. Mookie wasn't satisfied with just the UK market, so he went on a spending spree, leveraging the company to the hilt to buy chains in Eastern Europe, then eventually the massive Regal cinema chain in the US. In this war, reclining seats became the weapon of choice. A few years ago, the cinema chains faced the massive problem of dropping attendance. With 65-inch TVs and Disney Plus in every living room, demanding people leave the house was a losing battle, so they had to completely transform the product. Odeon, backed by AMC's American cash, started ripping out seats. Auditoriums that once held 200 people were slashed to a capacity of 60 to make room for massive electric leather recliners with personal tables. They called it Odeon Luxe, relying on selling fewer tickets at double the price. The gamble paid off spectacularly, with the average Brit happily paying £20 for a ticket just to secure a comfortable seat without getting kicked in the back. This success forced everyone else to scramble. The entire focus of the industry shifted, turning cinema into a hospitality business. Odeon began selling cocktails and expensive wines, effectively turning the lobby into a lounge. This strategy priced out rowdy teenagers while catering to 30-somethings with disposable income, a brilliant move that insulated them from the streaming wars. Netflix has convenience, sure, but it can never compete with a laser-projected blockbuster and fancy wine delivered right to your lap. Meanwhile, Cineworld was busy building a loyal customer base. The Cineworld Unlimited card was arguably the smartest product in the history of UK cinema because, for 18 quid a month, it allowed you to see absolutely everything. This broke the psychological barrier of wondering if a movie was worth the ticket price. If you had the card, you went to see the blockbusters, the indie films, and even the terrible rom-coms. It created a habit, giving Cineworld a recurring revenue stream in a business that is notoriously unpredictable. This steady cash flow gave Cineworld a swagger that the other chains lacked, providing them with guaranteed income they used to fuel their expansion. They transformed into an exclusive club where Black Card members received discounts on snacks. With their share price soaring and their CEO hailed as the king of the industry, they looked completely unstoppable. Confident and flush with cash, Cineworld decided the UK and Europe weren't enough. They wanted America. The chain announced a monster deal to buy Regal Entertainment Group for $3.6 billion to bring their magic to the US market. To pay for it, they took on an astronomical amount of debt, effectively betting the entire company on the American market. For a brief moment, it looked like the plan might work. Then, 2020 happened. For Cineworld, with its mountain of debt from the Regal deal, it was a disaster. They were burning cash every single day the doors were locked, facing interest payments on billions of dollars while their revenue dropped to literally zero. To make matters worse, they had tried to buy another chain, Canada's Cineplex, right before the pandemic hit. When the world collapsed, Cineworld tried to back out of the deal, leading to a lawsuit where the court ordered them to pay nearly $1 billion in damages. Cineworld simply couldn't hold on, and by September 2022, the British giant filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States. They utilized their massive American subsidiary, Regal, to anchor the legal proceedings. Mookie Greidinger, the architect of the empire, was eventually forced to step down. The bankruptcy process stripped the company down to the studs, forcing a ruthless cull of underperforming sites and a desperate renegotiation of rents just to stop the bleeding. The Cineworld that eventually crawled out of that courtroom is a zombie version of its former self. Its swagger and global ambition have been replaced by a singular focus on staying afloat. While this financial drama played out, the war for your eyeballs shifted to technology. Vue decided to outspec rather than out-luxury its rivals. They went all in on the big screen experience. They rolled out dual laser, 4K, high dynamic range behemoths marketed as Vue Extreme. These technical monsters offered a level of fidelity that left standard projectors in the dust, positioning them as the definitive way to experience visual spectacles like Avatar. Now, let's talk about the dirty secret of the business. The movies don't make the money. Studios like Disney, Warner Bros. And Universal take the lion's share of the ticket price, especially in the opening weeks. That means a sold-out screening of The Avengers might barely cover the cinema's electricity bill after the studio takes its cut. The entire business model relies on you buying a bucket of popcorn for £6, which only costs them 6 pence to make. This explains why they ban you from bringing your own snacks, and why the concession stand is designed like a casino, with bright lights and carefully engineered smells guiding you to the high-margin sugar. The war is actually about who can extract the most spend per head. Odeon's move to alcohol and hot food was a masterstroke because the margins on wine and pizza are astronomical. Vue has moved to self-service touchscreens to cut staff costs and speed up transactions, knowing that every second you spend in line is a second you might change your mind about that large Coke. The future of cinema in the UK looks a lot like the business class cabin of an airline. Fewer seats, higher prices, and better service. The cheap seats are gone, and dynamic pricing models are coming, meaning you'll pay more for a Saturday night ticket than a Tuesday afternoon ticket, just like booking a flight. The chains are using data to squeeze every penny out of the demand. The cinema wars have left deep scars, with shareholders losing their shirts and landlords losing their rents. But the industry has proven to be incredibly resilient. The cinema wars are a brutal lesson in capitalism, showing that brand loyalty means nothing when debt enters the picture. They demonstrated that you can have the best product in the world, but if your balance sheet is rotten, you will fail. But for you, the moviegoer, the war has been a victory because the cinemas you sit in today are vastly superior to the ones 10 years ago. The screens are brighter, the sound is clearer, and the seats finally recline. It's just a shame about the prices. And as long as they keep selling that popcorn, the war will go on. But what do you reckon? Is the new era of luxury cinema actually worth the £25 price tag for a reclining seat? Or is it just a glorified nap that costs too much? Are you Team Odeon for the comfort, Team Vue for the screen tech, or are you sticking with Cineworld because quantity beats quality every time? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Let's settle this once and for all. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss out on the next video. Cheers for watching, and we'll see you in the front row next time.